Hello, Facebook Live friends and families and new and old, young and old, here and there, near and far. Hi, it's Gina Tabrizy. I just ran up the stairs because I needed to get a clock, trying to be very punctual about this whole thing. So sometimes I get on here late because I'm still fidgeting around or fixing it, or because I'm older, I can't always see the time on there. So now I needed to get a clock to be here on the outside. So hi, Mitchell. Good evening to you. So Mitchell's been watching a couple of months now, right, Mitchell? The lives and being very supportive, and I really appreciate it. And I hadn't said yet, so if you're just chiming in, this is Gina Tabrizy. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have 31 years in this field of trauma, addiction, codependency, and mental health. Good evening, Alabama. Hey, James. You guys jump in there. Hi, Mary. I'm sorry I didn't see you today. I see Mary more on the lives than I do at work, which is ridiculous because we work together at Harmony Heals Detox and Rehab. She's the program manager extraordinaire, and I'm the clinical director. Hey, Elisa. These are my friends, friends and family showing support. So, you know, that's a big deal, you guys, is to support the people you love. Sometimes the people that you love aren't in your family. So that goes for friends, you know, and acquaintances too. Yes, and enjoying the lives. Thank you, Mitchell. Mitchell's always giving me good feedback and sending comments and questions. Elisa's from Laguna Niguel, and everybody say where you're from. If you haven't watched before, let me know. Today I did a little mini live this morning for a minute and promoting this talk tonight, which is on depression. There's lots of things I want to say about this. So if you're just jumping on, our talk tonight is going to be on Don't Let Depression Win. Kelly's watching. Hi, Kelly. Kelly's my social media guru. Kelly's going to pin our number and contact info at the bottom. If you have more concerns and questions and need help, you'll be able to call. Hi, Lisa from Baltimore and Elizabeth from Laughlin, Nevada. And love your hair color. Thank you. I just got it done, Deborah. But I've been red for so long, but I know. Hi, Julie. Julie's been here before. It's good to see you again. Yeah, I think I'm all gray, to be honest with you. I haven't seen my real hair color since I'm 18. So it's highly likely that it is completely gray now. But you know what? Do what you need to do to make yourself feel better. So if we're going to do this talk on depression, if it makes me feel better to have red hair, makes me feel more vibrant or youthful, so what? If you want to have purple hair or green hair, you want to shave it all off. This is all about what can you do to beat depression and not let it win. Hi, you guys. I love seeing you on here with me. So you can ask comments and questions while I'm talking. There's lots of things I want to say. I tend to talk really fast because I get super passionate about it. Those of you who've been watching know. I'm also Latin, so I'm always speaking with my hands and moving a lot. I think we're all a little ADHD that way, at least my Latino brothers and sisters. But thank you for agreeing with me, Deborah, about the hair and the vitality and doing what makes you feel good. But as I'm talking, I can't see all the lives. What happens is when they start coming in fast, they jump up. So I apologize in advance to all of you or any of you that have ever chimed on and I don't hit your comment during the live. I go back later, which my people can't believe it, and I go in and I read them and then I comment. It might take me 24 hours or 48 hours. There's our number and info at the bottom. You can get it. So anyways, hi, Lynn. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for jumping in here. So you guys, I try very hard to comment. Some comments are quick and I can respond to them during the live. Some of them I think it's important to address later. They're like big issues, or I'm going so fast, or I'm on a theme and I'm really trying to get to the subject matter so that you get to hear about what I say I'm going to talk about, right? So I had a mentor who always said, talk about what you don't talk about and talk about what you never talk about, which means don't hold secrets, right? Get right into the meat of it. So while we're doing this, if I miss your comments, messenger me, go back in there, go on Harmony Heals. And I will tell you this too. When you call the 800 number, you're not going to get me because I can't stay awake 24/7 like I'm much older, and I think I knock out like 10 is like really pushing it these days. Hi, Chris. Gotta be on the live feed. I have to clean snow before the sub-zero temps set in here in New York. Oh my God, thank you. You can watch this later, Chris, and good luck. Say hi to my girl, Shada. My adopted daughter is out there with you in New York too, freezing her little tushy off. So, and you know, my God, I pray for all of you out there that you're safe. And today I got a call from a gentleman who happened to jump on this morning, and he's out there in the cold in New Jersey or Rhode Island. One of the two, I'm not remembering now. It's very painful to be, and he's homeless. And he called because he felt inspired to call because of the message that I was giving this morning about take care of yourself, put yourself first, and know that you matter. If no one else tells you that, I told you that today, and I'm telling you it again now tonight. So let's talk about this depression thing, okay? Sadness is something that happens to all of us. All of us have grief. All of us have loss. All of us have things that we go through that make us really sad. This is so normal. It is normal to cry about things that hurt. A lot of us are conditioned, males or females, but males in particular, to not cry. It's a sign of weakness. It means you're a wimp or a wussy or all these other things you might have got called when you were a little kid and you scraped your knees and people made fun of you. And sometimes parents, they'll say things like, suck it up. Truth be told is we have tears because tears are magical. They have healing power. I told my clients the other day when we were in group, and I said, listen, you don't hold in your poop, don't hold in your tears, right? If that causes constipation, well, then holding in tears causes emotional constipation. We're human. We have feelings. We're meant to have them. I understand that sometimes feelings get to the point where you feel trapped because they're so overwhelming. When you're crying for hours or days and you feel lost in that, well, now you're talking about depression. So sadness is a natural part of human beings' life. Let them tears flow, because the more you hold on to them, the worse the pain gets, the worse the problem gets. And then next thing you know, you don't even know why you're still crying. You don't even know what it was that you started crying about. So let it flow, and let it go, okay? How do you beat depression? A lot of people watching this, a lot of these, my feeds and our contact and our social media are tied to a lot of recovery treatment and addiction recovery pages. So a lot of you are in recovery or not in recovery yet, addicts and alcoholics who are looking for help and support. I want to say that to lift the stigma a little bit is that a majority of addicts suffer from some kind of mental health issue, and depression being one of them, if not one of the primary ones, and anxiety being another. So when you have depression and you feel bad, it's like this empty hole inside of you that just seems to get growing and get bigger and get darker and get scarier. And so you get lost in that and you want to do anything to get relief. So addicts and alcoholics find drugs and substances to get relief. Shopaholics go shopping. Foodaholics find food. Relationship addicts go to relationship. Don't ever judge each other for the ways in which you try to manage or deal with your pain. Just because you're not an addict and you don't understand that, and you're like, well, they're doing that to themselves. No, they're just trying to get out of their pain themselves. That's what they're trying to do. And addiction is a disease, okay? It affects the mental, spiritual, and physical aspects of the body and the brain. So if you didn't know that now. That's why it's so hard to fight. Hi, Christy. So what I want you to know about dealing with depression, there's the standpoint from addiction where you've been using substances for a long time to feed that emptiness in your soul. And when you stop that, you're going to feel another different emptiness, an emptiness that comes from letting go of that substance that's become your buddy, that's become your companion, that's become your go-to. There's a huge increase in women using alcohol at my age, in their mid 40s and 50s and 60s, as a coping skill because they're going through menopause or perimenopause. They don't even understand that they're suffering, that they're going through hormonal changes that is causing them to feel bad about themselves, have insomnia, hot flashes, all that mess you all hear about. Men, they get menopause, we talk about it now, and they go buy a sports car. This is what you hear. But women suffer terribly. I want you to know men suffer too. Men get anxiety, they get depression, their testosterone drops, and they have no sex drive or a loss of interest in life. And people don't see it because they're afraid to talk about it. Because you guys have been told that's not a strength, you're being weak, you should be able to suck it up and muster through. So a lot of you guys are suffering silently going through this stage of life too. For some of you, depression comes because a horrible situation came in your life. So I want you to tell me when and if you've suffered depression. Just chime in there. Let me know, was something triggering it? You know, did you have the loss of a loved one, a breakup of a relationship? You're doing a great job, and we need more people like you. Thank you, Stephanie. We need more people like you too, because when people are doing positive things, you should affirm it. And I affirm you for affirming me, because that keeps me going. That motivates and validates what I'm trying to do here. Hi, Julie. Hope you're having a good night. I am. I'm doing my best. I hope you're having a good night too. So we're talking about if you've ever had depression or a deep sadness, it was triggered by something. What triggered it? If you're going through a loss, you've lost a relationship, a marriage of many years, a spouse that died, a friend that died. Just had that recently. A lot of my clients are going through that. Do you believe in God, James? I believe in a higher power, yes. Elisa, alcoholic boyfriend triggered depression. Yeah, you're living with an addict or an alcoholic who also is suffering, and you suffer with them. When you go into the throes of depression, you start to feel powerless, like, I can't get out of this hole that I'm in. And you need to understand it becomes a chemical change in your body and in your brain, just like addiction alters you chemically, so does depression. And after a while, it's like you're stuck on a loop on a tape that keeps going round and round and round and doesn't stop. Those of y'all that are my age and remember vinyls, or those of you that are super cool and into like spinning records at parties and clubs, I don't know. I'm too old. I don't know the lingo. So vinyl records, you would put down the needle to play the record and it gets stuck on a loop. Depression is like that, where I just can't get out of this loop in my thinking. And the thinking becomes very negative. So tell me, do you ever suffer with negative self-doubt and talk like you're not good enough, this is never going to happen, you can't get anywhere, you're not worth it, you're never going to make it, things like that? Let me know. Some of you are chiming in. Ruby, I have depression. It came to me when I was married. Wow, okay. Right at the beginning of the marriage, do you believe marijuana is an hallucinogen family? I'm not a big expert on marijuana or any particular substance, just in general. But I do know that marijuana, like any substance, has altering properties in the mind and in the brain, and it can be addictive like any other substance, like alcohol. Julie, I feel down that black hole, but I climbed out with a lot of mental health and the right meds. Ruby Smith, no. So when depression comes to you, no matter what stage of life and when it happens, what you got to look for is a solution, right? When someone's depressed, the last thing in the world they want to do is pick up a phone. And yet one of the things that you need to do when you're sad and you're hurting and you're isolated is to pick up a phone, is to call a friend, a loved one, or you call a therapist or a counselor or a pastor. You find and seek solution outside of yourself. Do you believe in cognitive behavioral therapy? Yes, James, I do. And this is cognitive in a way, and it's not therapy, because I'm doing this as a public service and I have not solicited anyone and you're not paying any fees. So I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart to educate and inspire and get you to ask for help if that's what you need. Thank you, Julie. So I believe in deep work and deep therapy too. So talking isn't going to take care of everything that ails you. Some of you have depression because you have a life situation that's horrific. I suffered cancer last year. My dad died. Today I'm sitting here with you talking about it. It's great. A year ago, I probably would have started bawling. But when you go through life-changing things like that, then that fear of the unknown and the fear of that loss can drag you down to a dark place. And you feel like nobody understands. Are you single? I think you're very attractive. I'm married. I've been married almost 30 years, and thank you for that. I'll take that into my little self-esteem box and fill myself up with it. Dave, anxiety and stress, clean for 16 months now. That's why I drank so much, but still have anxiety, so I choose to simply pray about it. September, lost a daughter by hands of murder. Oh, my God. Okay, Dave and Deanna Mary. First of all, there's nothing worse than losing a child. It's the most horrific thing that any of us could ever go through if we have birthed children. And those of you who haven't birthed children but have animals that you love like they're your babies, it feels the same way. When you lose your dog or your hamster, your bunny, your whatever treasured animal, a child, just magnify it. It's something that came from you, from your soul, from your womb. And the truth is that is so horrific. No one can ever take or replace or change that. That truth that happened by the hands of a murderer, which is so obscene and so horrific. No one can ever change that or take that away. And you have to confront and face that reality. And it's horrifying. You have anger, you have rage about it, not just anger, you have fear, and it's hard to let go of the resentment. One of the best movies I've ever seen in a book that I read before that is called The Shack. If you haven't seen it, Deanna Marie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Go see that or read the book, because it's all about this same story of a man who's reconciling his life after losing his daughter who was murdered. And it'll speak to you. And truth be told is we don't know why these things happen. But when they do, we have to find the strength within ourselves to know, how do I go on? And if I go on living, I'm living the life for that person that was robbed of that life. If I give up my life, if I hide and go in my room and never come out and start hating the world and hating people, I'm living a poor example of the love that represented that child of mine. I have to live the love that I have. I'm saying it with words like it's easy, but I've been losing people in my life since I'm 7. I know this is not easy, but I want to give you hope and inspiration that if you start to do something in your life that reflects change, that is educating people about safety or about violent crimes or whatever it is, to reach out and create a purpose from what you lost in that child, then that child lives on with you. And it is up to you to keep that child's memory alive and with you, to honor them in that way. Honor anyone that you've ever loved in that way by talking about them, keeping them with you, honoring their memory by doing something. I talk so much, I know I start stumbling over my words. So I'll take a drink and a pause, but I get so compassionate about it. Is I talk about my dad all the time to keep him with me, but to honor his memory and to share him with other people, because maybe his story will impact another human being's life more than mine. And I think your daughter's story will definitely impact other people. And I want to tell you about a friend of mine that I just met. And his name is David, and look him up, and he has a company called 34 Stitches. He created this company because his brother at 34 OD'd from a heroin overdose. And he's kind of a seamstress. I don't know how you say it in male form, so somebody tell me seamster. I've never thought to say that. And he wanted to do something. He's also like in business, and he has his own business. So he started sewing these shorts and talking about his brother's story and educating people. And he creates this company, 34 Stitches. Every time he stitches a stitch, and every time he takes it to a person and teaches them, someone who's in recovery, who's suffering, or a child who's maybe going through a hardship, and he goes in and he shows them and he teaches them how to sew and he tells them the story, his brother lives on, and the purpose of his life becomes magnificent and meaningful. So that's one way to do it. And I'm so sorry I went so far into that, but I'm so passionate about it because I know how painful that must be for Deanna. And please love her up. Send her love right now and encouragement. And tell her that she matters and her daughter matters, and that we feel the pain with her. So, hey, Carlton and Mitchell, depression set in when my wife moved away and took my boys. Yes, and that led to alcoholism. And I know we've talked about it on the live before, but when a relationship ends, it's a huge reason to catapult sadness into depression, and alcohol as the solution. Absolutely. Julie, I'm okay now, but divorce almost killed me. Yeah, I'm done a lot of work and now I'm better. Don't give up. Hope is vital. Thank you, Julie. She's absolutely right. I went through a divorce early in my life, in my 20s, and I thought I was going to die. I didn't want to get up out of bed. It was hell. I believed in it, marriage, and was married in the Catholic Church, and I considered it a sin, and it was very, very difficult to go through. But truth be told, I believe that God, higher power, the universe, I always say these things because I am open to all faith religions and anything that anyone needs to do to feel good and well as a human being. And I never want to exclude anyone from being part of this dialogue. So what I want to say to you is, I learned in that lesson, there was lessons for me to learn about myself through divorce, and that the universe and God did not have that person planned for me, that I hadn't chosen well for myself. I didn't do my research. I didn't do my homework. I picked very quickly and impulsively and went with my, passion more than my heart and more than my mind. So sometimes relationship ends because we're meant to be somewhere else, living a different life, a different purpose with different people, okay? And so that we can be our best selves. We can't be our best selves in a broken relationship. We can't be our best selves in a relationship that's suffering. We can't. Looking to divorce, heartbroken already, a depressant. Melba. So Melba, I hope I'm talking to that and say to you, grieve. I said it earlier. When sadness and depression comes, grieve, cry. Those tears are healing. They've done research that they actually heal. They have chemical properties that heal you. So let the tears come and then pick yourself back up. You meant to say hello? Hello, Sheila. Lost my 36-year-old baby girl to a stillborn October 14th. I'm so sorry, Amanda. I'm so sorry, Amanda. And I can share this story. I'm sharing stories of other people's life stories that they've shared with me to now inspire you guys. And Julie, boy, did I cry. Julie's commenting back to in her divorce and in her depression. Boy, did she cry. Me too, girl. I stayed in a bed and didn't move, I think, for a long time crying. I'm healed from depression. Yay, Heather. Me too. I'm in recovery from my depression. So sorry for your loss. Amanda, my cousin, one of my cousins back home in Miami, and if she's watching or someone else is watching, will tell her, had 2 stillborn births. In this marriage that she's in now of probably 30-something years, their very first go-round with both children back to back. And one day her and I were speaking, and I said to her, this has to be so painful for you, and how are you getting through it? She goes, one day I got tired of hearing people they kept saying to her, well, why you, why you? And she surrendered and said, why not me? That's exactly how I felt when cancer came to me. Why not me? God has a plan, or the universe, or whatever you believe in, even science, that the birth and the exit of the womb is very, very traumatic. And for some reason, not all babies can make it through that traumatic event. I know it's a beautiful thing, but it's also traumatic if you think of it from that very visceral biological component of having to be pushed out into this world. And if you believe in God or the universe or Buddha, then the soul has evolved and become something amazing and doesn't have to walk through life and suffer the way that so many of us do. And there's a plan. There's an experience that you're going to have from this, but nothing will change or alter the loss of that baby. And you need to honor that baby and create a beautiful homage, whether it's a garden or a flower or planter. I'm sure you've done all these things and you remember that child and you keep their spirit going, but their spirit may have been so beautifully evolved that it immediately just went up to the heavens. I mean, that's one way that I look at it. Maybe it's simplistic, maybe it's ignorant, whatever it is, but it brings hope and it inspires us to keep going, because my first birth was not a stillborn, but it was a miscarriage, and I was devastated too. And I said, why me? Why the first time out? Why, when I really want this child, does this have to happen? And I thought, I didn't take care of myself. I'm a terrible mother. And lo and behold, I now have 2 children today, 2 beautiful children. And that's who I was meant to have. These were my children that were meant to be with me. And that's the only way I can think of it. And I hope that brings you some comfort. And I'm not in any way minimizing how painful it is. And all of you send Amanda love. Does the loss of a relationship or death of a loved one cause addiction? It catapults you into addiction. It doesn't cause addiction. Addiction is already biologically, chemically predisposed in your brain, James. But if you set off a series of traumatic events or griefs, it may catapult the addiction. It elevates it. It causes you to seek it out more. It amplifies the obsession of the mind and anything to make the pain go away. And it's an easy solution when you're in pain. And that has a lot to do with I'm glad you're in recovery too, Julie and Lynn. Yes, Heather, you are brilliant. Thank you for mentioning me. Well, you're so welcome, Heather. And thank you for listening and responding to each other. And if I miss somebody's story here, you hit them up and send them love to each other. You guys, we're all in this together. We are all in this together in one way or another. I know you're not sitting in my house living room and I'm not in yours, but we're in this together. Someone has to reach in there and say to all of you, you're not alone. People have done that for me, my mentors and the people that I watch and people that inspire me, Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey or Dwayne Dyer, who's no longer with us, who was brilliant. I looked at their videos and I fed my soul and I kept lifting myself through all of my dark places. And I want this to be the same thing for you guys. So talk to me. Lynn, prayers with you, Amanda. I also have an angel baby. She now has wings. They can be together and they can watch over each other and they can watch over you guys. They can be your little angels, your little cherubs watching over you. Marcelo, my was going to be fiance left me after drinking pot meds and I spoke to our counselor, but her mom doesn't want me to help her. Okay, I'm confused. Who left me after drink? Are you on the pots and meds and drinking, or is she? And I'm sorry that I'm reading that wrong, but it sounds like, because you're saying you want to help her, it sounds like she had the issues, but she left you. My God, if she's the one that had the issues and left you, then that's God doing for you what you weren't doing for yourself, because you can't save anyone in their own disease and addiction, especially someone who doesn't want help. If you're the one in that struggle and she left you, she's saving herself. She's trying to get right with herself. So you can come back and tell me, Marcella, which one it is. But if she left you, that's because that's not where you're meant to be. You're not meant to stop in a place, in a relationship where you start off in a negative. And I say, like, there's no money in the emotional bank account. The bank account is starting off in bankruptcy. You're going to struggle in that relationship with a fiance. You're always going to be the savior, the rescuer, the healer. She's going to come to you for everything and lean on you for everything. Now, that sounds like a beautiful romantic idea. You guys, I'm way off subject now with this whole depression thing. So please come back in and tell me what you need to talk about around that. But this is very fascinating to me. But you can't be someone else's savior, and it's a romantic idea, but if a person doesn't love and care for themselves, then they will try to suck that out of you until they suck you dry till you have nothing left to give, because they're always going to look to you to solve their problems and be the solution and be their higher power, and you cannot be that for anybody. That's the truth, Marcelo, if I got the story right. If not, you'll come back and tell me. Thank you, Heather and Lynn are talking to each other. And yes, for your baby, Lynn, I love how you put that, though. You put that in such a beautiful way. Kristen, I lost a loved one. True this. Oh, my God, yes. Thank you, Mitchell, for I don't know what I said that you thought was well, but that. Can't imagine losing a child. Divorce seems easy compared to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I said before, Julie, there's no minimizing. It's not good or bad, right or wrong, more or less. It's like everybody's pain is whatever their pain is. I was in a bed and didn't want to get up because my self-esteem was so tied to that person. And I thought so little of myself that I didn't think I could live without them. And I became suicidal. So that's my painful story. My miscarriage and the loss of that child is that painful story. Truth is, we have to love and support each other for whatever. Our pains are different. My cancer is that painful story. It's not any less painful. It's just a different pain. And the loss of a child is a different pain. And a person who's never birthed a child can't even imagine that. That doesn't mean that they can't care, love, and support you through it and say to you, look, I haven't been through that, but I've been through this and I found help and I found a solution. And that's all I'm saying or trying to say. James, it does not life on life's terms. Everyone that walks the earth has trauma. The addict mind is formed in the womb. Okay, I'm behind, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I said life on life's terms, but I don't know what you're referring to. It does not. Everyone that walks on the earth has trauma. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All we're talking about is that it amplifies. So if you already have the predisposition for addiction and you go through traumatic experiences or you go through loss or you have mental health as well, depression and anxiety, it's only going to make the addiction worse. That's all I was saying. Marcelo, she is. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Marcelo. Kristen, anything for me, please, with my dad passed? Kristen, my dad passed last year. And when my dad passed, and I've told this story a lot, and I only say it so that you understand that I've gone through some crap, and I'm not sitting here going, hi, I'm a therapist and I know everything and I have all the answers, because that's not the freaking truth, okay? I'm a human being more than anything else, more than I'm anything else. So when my dad passed, it was within a week of my diagnosis of cancer, and I thought, I'm gonna die, because I always said he's my rock. And he's my person. He's my person. I didn't know what was going to come from that. But what I knew when I started facing that cancer was everything he ever said to me that elevated me, that made me feel like I was loved and seen. And I did not have the perfect father. And my father, for the first 16 years of my life, was a very difficult person to live with. And it changed when I became a teenager. When he had a heart attack and he faced death, he changed. So when I was facing death, I then changed. And how I dealt with the grief of losing my father was remembering him in everything. When I was wheeled into the operating room and I saw the little yellow socks on my feet, I remember so many times watching my dad going through operation after operation, being wheeled in with his little feet with a big grin on his face and laughing and saying, hey, I got this. No problem, I'm gonna be perfect, because he's Cuban, he has a very thick accent like Ricky Ricardo, so this is how he would talk to me. So those little memories and those little, you got this kid, or I love you kid, all of those things is how you keep them with them, and you honor them, and don't let the grief sink into depression. Lovely Stephanie. I was diagnosed with major depression and was on medication and made me foggy. I decided to get off and turn to God when I'm sad or have sad thoughts. Pray, I get up and clean to change. That thought is how I cope. Beautiful. So you're describing some therapy, which is cognitive behavioral, and lots of people do not respond well to medication. So to go back on the topic of depression, the number one thing to combat is movement, exercise, and fitness. Exercise and moving your body, which releases endorphins and chemicals that are feel-good chemicals in your brain, neurotransmitters, making you happy naturally, is the number one way to combat your depression. Now, hard. A depressed person doesn't want to get up and move. All you have to do is move. So tell yourself, get up and walk around the block, or get up and walk downstairs and walk back upstairs. When your body starts to move, it heals, it's circulation, it's oxygenation. So that's the number one thing. Medication is shooting in the dark. It works for some people, but I think the last time I read any kind of research, it's not good. The numbers are about 25%. Effective with it. So you got to find other ways. The other thing is your thoughts. Stop your thoughts. Change your thoughts, right? Oh, okay. Again, easy for me to say. When you hear a negative self-defeating thought and it keeps coming in, you're no good, you're dumb, you're no worthless, you're never going to amount to anything, you're never going to get this right, you're never going to get over this depression, you've got to stop that. That's stuck on a loop, and that loop activates the feeling of depression and makes it harder to get out of. As soon as you hear it, you stop it. I was teaching one of my clients today that wear a little rubber band on your wrist and snap it. It's an old method of therapy. Therapists watching will know, like unconditioned response and whatever. I don't want to talk about that. But you snap it, and it's a reminder to you and your brain, that little jolt, that this is not where I want my head to go. I want to stop that negative cycle that I'm in, talking negatively about myself. And say something positive. Say, you can do this. I know you can. I believe in you. Even if it's taking 3 steps. Even if it's walking to a telephone and calling a friend and saying, please take me out today and get me out of my funk. The second thing you can do for depression is get support. A therapist, a counselor, a pastor, a neighbor, a friend, a family member. Anyone. Get yourself outside and talk to people. Join a group. Join a support group. Join an exercise group. Join a book club, a knitting club, a sewing club, a basketball club, a motorcycle club. Get yourself around people, because isolating yourself increases your depression. So that's number 2, right? Or 3, I'm going to lose track. So exercise. Get help and change your thoughts, get help and support for yourself. Those are the top 3 things that you can do. Sounds easy? No, I've done it. Decades. I had the last 10 decades dealing with a brutal depression in my life, suicidal depression in my life. And I want to say to you right now, no one deserves to die from feeling bad and trapped in their own head. No one, whether it's because of your addiction or your depression or your anxiety, no one has earned or deserved that, no matter where you come from. And I'll do another live about the history of trauma and having traumatic events in your life that cause a lot of these issues for you. That's a whole other live. But I'm telling you, you don't deserve that. You deserve relief. You deserve to feel well. You deserve to be free of addiction, of trauma, of all of it, of just feeling bad and just feeling stuck. No one deserves to live a life where they feel trapped. And you have the right to break free of that. But it takes action. You can't sit in your room in your sorrow, not reach out, not ask for help, not talk, not cry, not express, and think that anything's going to change. So I'm going to try to catch up because you guys are counting. You're still hanging in there with me. More comments or questions. You're amazing, Gina. I could listen to you for days. I'm blessed and grateful to have you as my mentor, boss, and friend. I've learned so much from you, and I continue to each day. Thank you. I do use these live episodes for my own personal life, and I love your words and dedication. Well, I love you right back, Mary. That keeps me going too. So for a long time, I was stuck in depression and I couldn't get out and I didn't want to be here. And I want to tell you, if you're suicidal, call 911. Go to an emergency room or call a suicide hotline and talk to one. I've actually had clients who wound up in my office because they called a suicide hotline. Kelly, if you're still watching and you can find an 800 number, there's a national suicide hotline and we can pin that at the bottom. But what I want to say to you is if it's activated in you, you need help, you need therapy, you need guidance, you need support. More than anything, you need love. You need people to wrap around you and love up on you. And sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes it's a therapist in a therapist's office who can do that for you. But no one deserves to die, end their life because they're in pain. And the little key points that I'm giving you are ways to pull you out of that pain. But if it's deeper than that, then you've got to pick up that phone and you've got to get help. You can't do it alone. Most things in life you can't do alone. And addiction and recovery from suicide, depression, you can't do it alone. I wish you could. Thanks for your hard work. Thanks, Life Journey. Ashish, hi. And Kristen, thank you for thanking Lynn. And Lynn thanking her. James, excuse. Okay. No, society suffers as a whole. The addict is no different. Yep. Everybody suffers. We all suffer. We're all in it together and we can get out of it together. Lovely Stephanie, trust in the Lord. Is this an infomercial for a detox? No, this is a live talk and I've been talking about depression, how to heal, inspiring, and health. I own a detox. It's very known. It's very out there. We pin it at the bottom. Thank you. Lovely Stephanie. Yes, I agree. It works. I started this live as a public service because my clients asked me to. They said, I have a lot to share and there's so many people that you can reach and give it a go. And I'm putting myself out there and being very vulnerable, James, to do that. How many facilities you worked for? Do you work for this facility? Do you feel uncomfortable using recovery format to sell beds? I don't know what you're talking about right now. It sounds like you're taking in a different context. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been in the field for 31 years. I'm not doing this to sell beds. I don't get anything from this. If someone calls in and gets help, then that was my intention. But 90% of the people that have called in, actually no one's wound up with me. I send them to other facilities because they're all over the world and all over the United States. And I'm sorry if you're taking it in that way. If you go back and watch all my previous lives, you'll see that this is about my heart. I have ethical standards, principles, professionals. I have no besmudging reputation. I have an excellent reputation, stellar reputation in my area. And I'm doing this because I love it and I'm very, very passionate about it. And I've lost so many people to drugs and alcohol that I can't stand it. And nothing's working in the world of government in terms of fighting this opiate battle. And I'm just trying to reach the gal or the guy in their house that needs to be inspired to do something. I believe in program. You don't have to go to treatment. Treatment isn't for everybody, but it's for some. And program will help just as well. And I hope those of you that are in recovery and in program and have been watching my lives can send love and support right now around this because I just speak the truth. I'm straight out. And again, James, sorry if you're taking it in that negative way. but you're off base in terms of me. I know all about that. I know about facilities that do different shady crap that sell heads on the beds, patient brokering, referral sources. I've been in the field 31 years. I know what goes down in this field. I got in it as a therapist, not as a treatment owner. So I happen to own Harmony Heals Detox right now. That's at this stage of my life. Maybe not long and maybe not for long, because we're not doing all that shady stuff. So our census has been low for over a year. And right now, that's where we're at. And it's okay. We're going to go for as long as we can go. And if we have to close our doors, we're going to do it with dignity and with health and with ethics and with taking care of our people, our staff, as much as our clients. So now I got a little bit of a high horse, but, you know, again, if you have any desire to or inspired by anything else that I was talking about in terms of depression, recovery, solution, getting to program, getting to meetings, getting to a counselor, James, and that's what I'm talking about, go back and watch my other lives. Otherwise, you're on the wrong format. And I can't, you know, I can't say any more than that. Mitchell, talk on depression right on. I was diagnosed with leukemia 2 days before Christmas. I have a good friend that went through the same, Mitchell, and I'm hoping that, are you still in recovery for that? What are you doing for that? So I'm all about holistic services. So I practice yoga, I do supplements, I exercise every day, I do natural and holistic, I'm vegan. And so I found that healing, especially for cancer, is a lot about nutrition. There's a great book, I can't think of the name of it right now, that I have. I want to say Cancer Solution, but that doesn't sound right. I'll text you after and tell you about it if you're still on, and anyone else who's a cancer survivor. And let me tell you something that people don't know. Depression is very, very triggered by nutrition as well. What you put in your body matters, and I want you to think about that. Your body is a temple where you live. You're in it every single day, and it is miraculous what your body can do. But if you think about how intricate it is, it's like putting gas in a car, but the gas is dirty, or it's filtered, or it has chemicals in it that aren't appropriate for that car, and then the car stalls out, and then the engine blows up. That's food. That is food, and that is fuel. And fuel is the energy. The calories that go into your body is energy to fuel your body. So you guys, you can fight depression from a nutritional standpoint too. You can read books about it. You can look up and contact a nutritionist in your area, or get referrals through your primary care doctor. In order to change the way that you eat, what you put in your body makes you feel and think the way that you do. It's a huge thing. My doctor said I'm severely depressed. What exactly does that mean? So there's a scale on depression, I guess 1 to 10. And so there's certain tests you can take, or certain questions that you ask. And if you have 5 or more symptoms, then you might have a moderate depression to a severe depression. If you have any suicidal thoughts, that falls more on the severe side. I would follow up with that doctor with any recommendations. Sometimes medication is most effective in the extreme sense, or the severely formed side of depression, where you are truly suffering with suicidality, and it can lift the depression enough to start to deal with it. But it's not the total end all be all, and it doesn't work for everybody. So exercise is one day to quickly and immediately start to combat depression. If you need to get a buddy to start walking with, someone to get you to the gym, or someone to bicycle ride with you, any kind of movement we call bilateral stimulation. It's a whole other live talk that I could do. Starts to activate the brain cells and to create adaptive new ways of dealing with life. Releases endorphin, releases neurotransmitters, and makes you feel good. So that's one thing, but you need guidance. If you're severely depressed, maybe that means leaning towards some suicidal ideation or self-destructive ideation, then it's good to go see a therapist and get on a plan, get a nutrition plan, and start doing things that make you feel good. And don't let anybody tell you, oh my God, that's it. You have this disease. You're going to have it forever. You can change anything in your mind, your heart, your body, your spirit by just that focused attention to it and making a decision that you want it to change. Thanks be to God, I am not depressed anymore. God heal me, and I know I will never be depressed again. Amen. Heather, thank you. You're all saying thank you and you're welcome. I've seen people with bands on their wrists. Okay. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. I have clinical depression and epilepsy. We talked about that before. I've talked to Terry through Messenger quite a bit. Is this an infomer? Oh gosh, James. Okay, sorry, James. I already responded and I hope you got it. So please go off if you're not wanting to, just don't be part of it. That's okay. It's not for you, and that's okay. No one can be everything to everyone and everything that they need. I have been doing these lives for 6 months now. And you can go back and you can watch them and see. I do a lot of public speaking and educating. I've taught at Cal State Long Beach. I teach and mentor all the time, everywhere, for fun and for free. And that's it. And I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. You can think whatever you want and keep thinking that. And it's just, you know, whatever. That's just where you're at. And this is just where I'm at. And that's where we're going to be. And we agree to disagree. Call, there is help. You or loved one, you are not alone. Think everyone can deal with things the way they feel fit. Can't help everyone. You can't help everyone, and you can't change everyone, and you can't connect with everyone, whatever, and you can't reach everyone. So again, we're talking about depression and ways that you can combat it. This is what this is about. My treatment center isn't a treatment center for depression, okay? It's for detox, drug, alcohol. Right? Those of you who have been watching me for months and seeing it, 90% of the time I don't even talk about it or mention it. And so what I want to tell you is everybody needs solution and everybody needs to be inspired in some way. Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, they're all on television, they're all promoting their shows or whatever, but they're giving tons of information and they're reaching people. And it really takes a lot to dedicate your time and energy to sitting in front of people and to people's criticism or negativity. And some is good, some is bad. And we all have the right to express ourselves in any way that we want. So like I said, I'm not here to censor anybody or filter anything. I'm going to answer you as honestly as I can. Believe me or don't. If you don't, that's okay. Then you don't need to watch. So depression is real. It's a long-standing feeling of sadness that overwhelms you, that invades your life, that stops you from functioning. And you know what? You can heal from it. And don't let anyone tell you any differently than you can't. And it starts with simple conversation. It starts with getting support. Like I said, from a loved one, from a friend, from a pastor, joining a group, getting support. There's so many AA and 12-step programs. So Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, codependency. My favorite is CODA. I'm a recovering codependent myself. And any support group that you found, it can be through your church or through a group of friends or spiritual center. Don't be afraid to get in with other people that see things and feel things the way you do, because they can have solution too. Sometimes you'll do better there than you will in a therapist's office. It's really hard to go see a therapist, or you can't afford it, or there's not one close to you, or you don't connect with them. And sometimes it's just people. So reach out to other human beings, and you know what? We're here to help and inspire each other. We're here to lift each other up. There's enough negativity all over our world, all over our social media, all over the news. You guys, we watch it every day. And the gentleman that called me today, Roger, is homeless, back east, and said, I called you because I'm sitting in a hotel room and this is just where life has taken me. And he was super positive. He goes, I've raised children. I've been a good person. I've done all these things, but this is my lot in life right now. I fell through a hard time. I had some issues. I had a prison stay. I've been out of that now. And he called to say, I just thank you for reaching out. I've been waiting for people to reach out to the people that can't reach back in. People that are stuck in their home, or people that don't know how to get to therapy, or people that feel ashamed about their addiction or their anxiety, or people that are lonely or isolated. And so we need to reach out to each other in this way. You guys can do it in your way, in whatever way you see fit. I've been doing it sitting in the rooms of my offices and of other places in mental health facility, inpatient psychiatric facilities that I've worked at, and counseling centers and counseling halls almost all my life. I've been sitting in rooms doing it that way, and eventually risked to come out and do it in this more public way and exposing myself in this way. And you guys can do it in your own way, in your own neighborhood. When you see somebody hurting or you see somebody on the street, have a conversation with them. You know, how'd you get here? What what drove you here? Why are you sitting outside of the store and panhandling? What's going on in your life? And figure out and see that sometimes the smallest kindness that you show another human being changes their life forever. Forever. Just acknowledging them. Just saying, I see you and I hear you. Sometimes that's enough. So call me, what's that word? A dreamer? There's another word for it. A Pollyanna, whatever. But that's how I got through all of the hard stuff that I've been through in my life. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do in your life. So we're almost at the end. We have a couple minutes. I thank you guys for sitting in here with me. And I'm going to keep looking on here. Lynn Adams, you're amazing and your words have a positive impact. Thank you, Lynn. Daryl, hey. Hi, Daryl. And Julie, James, this is free help, dude. I will calm your number and see how this pans out. Whatever you need to do, James. Thank you so much. James is trolling. Yeah, that's a new term that I don't know, but okay. So you garner finance event. Love and support. Just ignore the trolls. Thank you, Christine. Yeah. Thank you for all of that. So I am a clinician, so marriage family therapist, licensed marriage family therapist. I'm working on my doctorate, and I run and I supervise the facility. I don't run the admissions, and I don't take in the calls. So when people call, you won't get me. So don't be disappointed, but you'll get my staff and people that I love and care about that I've worked with. And also, as I said earlier, if you're really suffering depression that's suicidal, I want you to call an 800 number. I'm hoping Kelly will have posted it. There's a national suicide hotline. You can call 911. You can call information, probably 411, and you can get that. And that's the most important thing, is to call and ask for help or a therapist in your local area. But if it's an emergency, call 911. You go, girl. Thank you, Daryl. You're the best. One word at the right time saves lives. That's it. Troll alert. Okay. You guys are going to educate me later on this troll thing. You know, I want to see the best in people, and I can't expect them to feel that same way towards me. But I'm going to keep believing the best in people. And it's okay to be skeptical. I mean, there's talk about trolls. There's some sick people out there, and there's some sick people in any industry, not just in mine, not just in the field of addiction, not just in mental health, in the music industry, in the engineering industry, in the housing industry, and we know in the movie industry, right? So it's all over, you know, so we just have to do our best to be right with ourselves and be ethical and kind and loving and professional and as helpful as we can. And that's what I'm doing. That's all about it. So you're promoting. Okay. Connie, do you have a chat line? I don't have a chat line. You can send messages or questions. I'm really good about getting back. It might take me a day or two, so I give me time. But you can messenger through Ask Gina or Harmony Heals at the Detox or the Counseling Center. Thank you again for all your comments, Jay. I will be at 7 a.m. meeting tomorrow morning with a speaker just as eloquent as you are or I. Good. That's beautiful. Fantastic. Not Hawking. Great. I do public speaking all the time, not promoting anything, just going and speaking. I spoke on compassion fatigue recently for clinicians, and I've been speaking at schools, elementary schools, drug addiction forever. For years and years, people didn't even know I had a counseling center or whatever. Because I just spoke, and I just like doing it. It's what I do, and it's one of the ways I honor my father. So my father was quite the orator. He was a great storyteller, and I think a lot of that I inherited from him. I just like to talk, and if I can educate and inspire in the process, that's what I'm intending to do. Everything else is, it means nothing to me. Life's Journey, I have to shout out, but keep up the good work. Thank you, Life's Journey. I'm following you now. I'll be in touch again. Thank you, Life's Journey. Hi, Terry. We talked about it. Hey, my cousin Myrna was watching. Hi, Mimi. Whew, girl, I don't know when you jumped in, but I hope you've been watching. It's been a fun one for sure. Thank you for the back and forth and for all of the comments, good, bad, and indifferent. I respect your right to express yourself in your way and asking you to do the same for me, but you don't have to. And again, Take what you need and leave the rest. Beautiful thing that I learned in program. It's not for everybody. Just like they say, the 12 steps isn't for everybody, but it is an amazing fellowship that is available all around the world. I'm a huge fan and support, and it's one of the first things I try to invite anyone in any kind of affliction to go find a 12-step support program. And one of the things that it teaches is about surrender. The first thing it teaches is that you're powerless over that disease. And I say that all the time in regards to depression. I'm powerless over depression. It came, and now I have to face and deal with it. And the second step in the 12 steps is that came to believe a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. If you learn nothing else, to begin that journey to look at what is a power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. What can I call upon? What can I believe in? What purpose can I find in life? What God, the God of my understanding, can I bring into my life that can help me heal from these painful things? So I hope that helps you and helps get a sense of things that you can do for depression. Thank you, Mitchell. Love you. You're always helpful. Thank you, Daryl. I always help my clients find positive things they can do to help with endorphins. Yes. So they are participating in their well-being. Yes. Hi, Debbie. Yes. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for hanging in there, you guys. And Marcia. Hi, Marcia and Flora. No, we don't do methadone at our treatment center. Our family needs help. Myrna, the 800 number is below. There's staff that will answer that. And again, you're all over the country. Most people will never come here. We're in California. And so we invite you to call so that we can try to give you referrals for places in your area, somewhere that can help you. And Terry Lee, we're not in network currently, and insurances, we've been trying to work on it. Again, we're very, very small, averaging 4 clients, if that. And we've applied with a lot of insurances. It's been a year and we're still dealing with that. I love for anyone to call your insurance and look up providers in your area, and then once you do, look up the facility, make sure that they're licensed facility, then it's a license in good standing and they have nothing against them in terms of any legal actions or anything like that, so that you at least can feel safe about where you're going. And there's a couple of accreditations if you're looking for treatment centers. One is called CARF, C-A-R-F, and the other one is called JACO. We are CARF accredited and we're in the middle of JACO. There are many wonderful facilities, some of the biggest facilities that have been around since the 70s or 80s. Most of them started back east and originated there and then came out to California, and they're all JACO accredited. So Joint Commission, Association of Hospital Organizations, JCAHO. So please look that up when you're looking for treatment so that you know that you're getting people who are following all the proper standards of care. And again, that goes true for any kind of counseling too. Make sure that there's licenses in place and they're all in good standing. Thank you, Terry, for the support. Thank you. Just thank you. And Connie, thank you. And I'll take length on phone with your call center and with no insurance. Let's see. Thank you, James. I just don't even know what to say anymore. You know, do what you need to do. We've taken tons of clients. You're putting me in a category with lots of people that I've struggled with and had issues with. And so I can understand why you're thinking what you're thinking. It just hurts my heart. You don't know me. I don't know you. You don't have to believe me. I don't do what's being done. And that's why I've got, 4 clients and in the treatment center. And we work with people in the very best way that we can. We do the best that we can, and so thank you for whatever, your comments. I talked to my boyfriend last week, and I showed him last week's video of yours, and he laughed. He says he doesn't have a problem. But I said I'm leaving him. He's changing his mind about things. Oh, wow. Okay. So you did talk to him, and you approached him with the live, and he laughed. He doesn't think he's a problem. Is he changing his mind? I don't get that last sentence, but wow, that's fantastic, Gina. As long as you are holding him accountable and you're doing what you need to do for you, I think that's amazing. Anyways, and the best therapist detox rehab. Aw, thank you. Thanks, Mary. That's so awesome. Mary works there. Mitchell, James, some people really need this and look forward to it. Yeah, so, yeah, you don't need to belittle things that don't fit or you don't like, or you're imagining and you're having a perception and a need about what is or isn't. And I just love that you guys are open to hearing, to listening, and to receiving. I really enjoyed listening tonight. Thank you, Diana. So it's right at 7 o'clock, and I'm sorry we got so into other matters. We started off talking about depression. We talked a lot about addiction, some of what fuels addiction. I talked about some solutions for depression. Always ask for help. If you're in chronic need or you're suicidal, you need to call a suicide hotline, a 1-800 number. Please don't forget to call if you're hurting like that. Those counselors are amazing. They're trained to stay and guide you and inspire you and lift you up from that dark place that you're in. That's certainly my intention to do here, and I'm glad that some of you, if not a lot of you, are receiving it in that way. That's who I'm talking to. Can't reach everybody, can't please everybody, can't have answers for everybody, but you got to start somewhere. And so this is where I'm starting. And suffering my own depression and my own issues and having to see therapists and counselors and doctors and being led in all kinds of crazy places, and sometimes very painful going from one doctor to the other and not finding solution. And so I want you to know there is solution, but you can't give up. You have to ask questions. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to use your voice and be strong and loud and say, I deserve to heal. I deserve love. I deserve guidance. I deserve to feel better. I don't deserve to be a slave to my addiction, to my depression, to my anxiety, to my bad relationship. I deserve a new life, especially in the new year. We're 4 days in. Don't live the life that you were living before. Live the life that you want to live now. Live the life that you've been dreaming about. Don't stay stuck in the past and sentence yourself to living the way that you'd been living if it's not working for you. I know he needs help, and so does he. He stopped his whiskey for 2 days. Well, good for him. Darn it, for doing those 2 days. Try to get him to a meeting. Go with him to a meeting. Go sit with him in a meeting and say, I'll go with you, if he's willing to go. So, and if not, take him to a doctor and have him check him out medically, his liver and his blood work. And sometimes looking at the scary truth of what alcohol is doing to your body sometimes wakes people up. Good for you, Gina. Get on that and stay on that. Okay. So you're a hope for him right now. You're holding the lantern of hope, and hopefully he'll keep going in that direction. So thank you guys. I do hope that you did get something from what you needed to look at depression in a different way, and to do your very best to get up every morning, move, do some kind of exercise, walking, get the support network going, show up in places, people, places, and things that support, love, respect, and honor you. Take that for yourself. And when you're done with that, if it continues and you need to look medically, get yourself medically cleared. Remember, your diet and your nutrition are very powerful, and those are things too that can activate and lift and get you out of depression and change your mood too. So look into that. Okay, thank you all, and I appreciate it. I see, hey, Tim. Tim is my hairdresser. So he's down there, hit him up. He's the one that makes this happen. I see him all the time now, more than I care to, and that's what happens with a lot of gray. Thank you. I'll look at your comment again, James, at the end and comment to you. Yes. So, yes, out of network. We're not in network. That's just our reality, and whatever works. I don't know what you want from that and what you were hoping to get out of that or what you're trying to find out, but keep searching on your journey there. And hi, Jean. So I love you guys. If you're just tuning in, I'm going off live. It's been an hour. I thank you for your comments, your questions, your inquiries, and your probing questions and your comments, not only to me, but to each other, and sending love to the women at the beginning. There were several women who've lost their babies and their children, which was huge for you to share. This is a public forum, so you're putting yourself out there and you're exposing yourself and your heart to people. So we really need to love each other and keep each other in love, guidance, support. I love you too, Tim. I think you're amazing. And I want you guys to just keep spreading that love and intention to each other and hold each other kindly and lovingly in your thoughts. And if you pray, in your prayers. I thank you, Jean, for your first time. I'll watch you more next week. I hope you'll come in early and send me questions and topics and things that you want to talk about. That's how we do this. And each week I bring up a new topic, whatever that is. This time it was about depression. Sometimes it's addiction, trauma, codependency. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about negative, stinking thinking. So let's get on it. You guys send me what you think, what you really want to hear about next week. You did so great last week. I spoke about depression because I think I got about 30 people that said, can you just talk a little bit about depression? Thank you, Terry Lee. And I thank you with all of my heart too. And I'm glad that we've been able to connect and that I've been some support for you. And seasonal depression, yes, I would love to talk about seasonal affective disorder. Yes, it has everything to do with the weather outside. And we're lucky in Southern California, we don't see that as much. And anxiety too. Oh my God, is that a subject? So thank you. Thank you, Julie. I bless you all, love you, send you big hugs and renewed joy, health, and prosperity in the new year, that you keep going, that you keep taking care of each other. We're trying to get a network, James, thank you. It's very, very difficult. Paperwork in, if they accept, if they don't, it takes months. We're on it. We've gotten in one network with our outpatient counseling. I don't know why the treatment rehab is so difficult, but it's very difficult to get in. So I thank you, and I'm responding to your questions as they're coming the very best that I can. Jean, I'm from Canada, and lots of freezing temps, can't go out. I know. So they have these lights. Okay, last thing, they have a light therapy box that you can buy. Go look online, and it has to be a certain ultraviolet light, but they're called light therapy boxes. And I have one for my depression, even though I lived in California, but when I was home and depressed and struggling to get out, I needed something. And you sit in front of this light therapy box, and I do it while I read. I did it and I still do it while I'm studying. It stimulates the brain and gives that feeling and sense that you get from getting that vitamin D from the sun. So Jean, look into it. They're not expensive. They have little ones and big ones, and it's a good solution. So I love y'all. Good night. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the commentary. Tell me where you're from, what you want to talk about. If you chime in after the live, I'll go back in and read. DBT therapy is awesome, James. And hopefully together we'll find some solutions. So have a good night, you all. I'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Good night.